So yes, good evening everyone, and welcome to yet another. Good evening everyone, and welcome to yet another session in the neuroanatomy. We are going to discuss the brainstem part two. The brainstem part two. So yes, just give me a thumbs up in the chat box, guys, if the audio and visuals are perfectly fine, so that I can start with the midbrain. Very, very important topic for today, and I will be discussing the clinical anatomy today along with this. We are going to discuss 2-3 syndromes, right, with relation to this particular midbrain. Yes, Dr. Akhilesh, good evening, beta. I hope the audio and visuals are fine. So, guys, please. Yes, Vishnu, Venki, very good, beta. Very good, guys. Sai Lakshmi, okay, perfect, right, guys. So, yes. Alikhya Srinivas, very good. Shakil Ahmed, good evening. Abukar Ahmed, good evening. Hi, guys. Yeah. So I think everything goes perfect. Suman Pare, good evening, beta. Yes. So let us start with the midbrain first, and I will be discussing the interpeduncular fossa in midbrain only. So let us just try to start with the topic. And yes, the topic that we are going to discuss right now. Yes, Kiran Bishnoi. Yes, good evening, beta. So yeah, we are going to start with the midbrain. Midbrain. Yes. Remember, guys, the midbrain, the site, it is actually the tentorial notch. And I will be discussing this tentorial notch, yes, soon. So as of now, just remember the site where it is present, it is called as the tentorial notch. Yes. Now, the tentorial notch. Now, guys, you already know, if we talk about the extent of the midbrain, the extent of the midbrain. Now, above the midbrain, what is present, guys? You have already seen the diagram of the brain, right? I have drawn the diagram of the brain, the encephalon, right? So what is exactly present above the midbrain? You already know above it is the diencephalon. Yes, above it is the diencephalon, right? And below, guys, you already know we have pons. Below we have pons, and that is something we have discussed yesterday. The pons we have discussed yesterday, and diencephalon I will be discussing in like 1 or 2 days, right? Now, guys, so you already have seen the picture, guys, yesterday also, right? So we have the yes, the diencephalon, right? The diencephalon, and just below we have this midbrain, and below this we have this pons, right? Then we have medulla oblongata, which continues as this no spinal cord, right? So that is, and behind the this we have this cerebellum, right? Cerebellum. Behind this pons, medulla oblongata. Yes, and below we have the spinal cord. So above the midbrain we have the diencephalon, and below the midbrain we have the pons. Below the midbrain we have the pons, right? So that is something you guys already know. Now, remember, guys, one more important point that we have to discuss, that it is the shortest part of the brainstem, right? It is the shortest part of the brainstem. Shortest part of brainstem. If you will roughly ask me like how many centimeters it is roughly equal to like 2 centimeters, guys. It is roughly equal to these 2 centimeters. So it is the shortest part of the brainstem, and remember it is roughly equal to 2 centimeters, right? Now, again, guys, there is a very small cavity inside this midbrain, right? There is a very small cavity inside this midbrain, and that small cavity, it is called as cerebral aqueduct. Okay, it is called as cerebral aqueduct. We have a very small cavity inside the midbrain, guys, and that is something called as the cerebral aqueduct. Now, this cerebral aqueduct के ऊपर क्या present है? Third ventricle. And नीचे क्या present है? Fourth ventricle. So this cerebral aqueduct, it is basically connecting the third ventricle above to the fourth ventricle below, right? So this cerebral aqueduct connects third ventricle above. Okay, you can just write it in short. It is connecting the third ventricle above to the fourth ventricle below. to the fourth ventricle below, right? So above this cerebral aqueduct, we have the third ventricle, and below we have the fourth ventricle. And this is the cerebral aqueduct. Basically, it is a small cavity which is connecting these ventricles together. So yes, coming discussing about the definition or some important parts. Let us start with the external features of the midbrain, guys. So I hope you all are present along with me, guys. Just give me a thumbs up if you're writing, if you're drawing. Yeah. Yes. So hmm, hmm. Now let us start with the external features of the midbrain. So we are going to first discuss the external features. Yes. Okay. Alekhya, Shakil, lovely. हाँ, कल वाला पीडीएफ मैं अपलोड कर दूंगा यार, मुझे याद दिला देना. मरलिया, सिराज, अबूकर, वेरी गुड बेटा. So now we are going to start with the external features of the midbrain, guys. Very, very important slide. I will ask you to put a dollar sign. Dollar is very important, no, nowadays. So dollar के तो rate भी बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ रहे हैं. So I would request each and everyone to please put a dollar sign. And wherever in my lectures I'm putting a dollar sign, it means that part is something very, very important. I wanted to draw a diagram only. I will not make you write thesis, guys, as promised. We will be drawing and learning together, right? So we are going to discuss the external features of the midbrain. And guys, the surface which I will be discussing right now, it will be the anterior surface, guys. It will be the anterior surface. Now we will see the midbrain. Earlier, the picture which I have drawn right now, guys, I have taken this as the sagittal section. Sagittal section, I have told you. I'm cutting the body. I'm cutting this body in the midline. We have the two parietal bones, and in between we have the sagittal suture. Now I'm cutting the body from between. Okay, I'm removing this part, the right part away, and I'm just trying to look at the brain from side. So this is the sagittal section. So I will be discussing this midbrain. First I will be discussing how it looks anteriorly, and then I will be looking at it posteriorly, right? So first I will be trying to see the ventral or the anterior aspect. Ventral or anterior का मतलब आगे वाला हिस्सा हो गया, and posterior basically being the पीछे वाला हिस्सा. So let us just try to see this ventral aspect, guys. So yes, we are going to discuss the anterior surface over here. We are going to discuss the anterior surface over here. Now, guys, you already know. Below, I have already told you, we have this, yes. We have this pons below, right? We have this pons below, right? I'm just trying to draw this pons over here. Now, from the pons, guys, right, at this upper surface of the pons, if I just try to see, we are watching this midbrain from front. We are watching this midbrain from front. And remember, guys, if I just try to see from the upper border of this pons or the upper part of this pons, guys, there will be two large cerebral peduncles. Yes, there will be two large cerebral peduncles which will be there over here. Yes, there will be two large cerebral peduncles. Now, what are these cerebral peduncles now? Now, this is something which is the part of this no anterior midbrain, right? This is the part of this anterior midbrain. So we have these cerebral peduncles. Now, what are these cerebral peduncles, guys? These are also known as crus cerebri. These are also known as crus cerebri. Okay. Now, when I say cerebral peduncles, they are basically carrying the descending tracts of the cerebrum. Now, remember, guys, this cerebral peduncle is nothing but these are rope-like bundles. Okay, these are white matter only. These are white matter only that are emerging from the upper part of this pons. Okay, now in between, guys. Okay, now before that, guys, let us just try to see over here. We will have a tract over here, right? We will have a tract over here, and that is called as the optical tract, which is now going to cover this. Yes, we have this optical tract over here. I'm just trying to show you the boundaries first. Yeah. we have this optical tract over here. Now, this is the optical tract, optic tract. This is also the optic tract, optic tract. Above we have this just yes, the optic chiasma. Like more posteriorly, guys, it is the optic chiasma. And over here we will be having these nerves which are coming from the eye. These are called as the optic nerves, right? These are called as the optic nerves. The optic nerves, the two optic nerves, guys, the two optic nerves. Now, so that is something which you all need to know as of now, right? Now, in between the cerebral peduncles, guys, this area which I'm highlighting over here, this is called as the interpeduncular fossa. This is the thing which I will be discussing in the next slide, guys. So remember, this is called as the इंटर दो पेडंकल के बीच में एक स्पेस देखने को मिलता है. We can find a space over here, guys, and that is something called as the interpeduncular fossa. Again, a very, very important topic. Yes, this is the interpeduncular fossa. Yes, this is called as the peduncular fossa. Now, interpeduncular fossa. So I will be discussing this fossa. No need to worry about this. So these cerebral peduncles, basically they consist of these three parts, guys, right? If I just talk about the cerebral peduncles, anteriorly, guys, if we talk about, they have like the basal pedunculi. Basically, they are made up of the fibers of this pyramidal tract. Okay. Then in the middle, we have substantia nigra. So if you ask me, this cerebral peduncles, right? So this cerebral peduncle, basically it consists of three parts. It consists of three parts, guys. Three parts, right? So remember, what are those three parts, beta? Anteriorly, you should remember. Okay, if we just see anteriorly, we have basal or basis pedunculi. Now, what is this basis pedunculi, guys? It is formed by the fibers of the pyramidal tract, right? So this basis pedunculi, it is basically formed by the fibers of the pyramidal tract. Now, in the middle, we have something called as substantia nigra. And remember, guys, substantia nigra we have discussed in the extrapyramidal nucleus, right? It is one of the extrapyramidal nuclei. So we have the substantia nigra, right? And the third one, guys, the posterior part, guys, we have tegmentum. Okay, tegmentum. Now, this tegmentum basically will contain many nucleus and it will contain many tracts of the midbrain. So as of now, just remember, from anterior to posterior, these cerebral peduncles, okay, they are having three parts. The anterior most part, basis pedunculi. Behind we have the substantia nigra. And the posterior most part, it is the tegmentum, which contains nucleus and tracts of the midbrain, right? So as of now, just remember this. Now, guys, there is one more viva question that comes in the exam. That which are the structures? Okay, over here, just try to mention the structures. Now, structures which are crossing ventral surface. Ventral means anterior. Ventral, or I can say anterior surface of cerebral peduncle. Now, what are the structures? Again, a very important viva question from the exam point of view. What are the structures which are now crossing this ventral surface of this cerebral peduncle, guys? The very first one, remember, we have the optic tract, guys, right? We have the optic tract. Okay. So you can very well see over here we have this optic tract. So obviously in front, guys, okay, if I just try to draw it like this, you can see this optic tract which is coming, right? The very first structure, that is the optic tract which is coming. Now we have another structure, guys, over here that is called as the basal veins, right? We have these basal veins, right? We have these basal veins. Okay, we'll just try to draw it once. Yeah. The third one, guys, remember we have an artery over here, and that is called as the posterior cerebral artery. Okay, we have an artery over here which is passing through this peduncle, and that is called as the posterior cerebral artery. Posterior cerebral artery. So that is again the third one. Yes, the second one being the basal veins, right? And guys, there is one more important structure that you have to remember from here, that is coming from the medial aspect of this cerebral peduncle, and that is very important, guys, and that is the third cranial nerve. Okay, that is coming from the medial aspect, and it is coming in front of this crus cerebri, passing from the surface of this crus cerebri, and this is nothing but, yes, you already know, it is the, yeah, the third cranial nerve, right? Hmm. So this third cranial nerve is also coming, that is the oculomotor nerve. Okay, third cranial nerve. And guys, one more nerve, it is coming from behind. Okay, can anyone tell me in the chat box which is the nerve which is originating like posteriorly, the cranial nerve which has a posterior origin or the dorsal origin? All the cranial nerves, okay, out of 12, like 11 cranial nerves, they arise from the anterior part of the brain, but there is only one cranial nerve which arises from the posterior aspect, guys. Yes, anyone in the chat box who would like to tell me which is the cranial nerve which arises from the posterior aspect? Yes. So this is the third cranial nerve which is now arising from this interpeduncular fossa only, and that's from the medial part, guys. Okay, so this is the third cranial nerve, right? No, no, lovely Hetra hoverboard. Yeah, it's not the hypoglossal beta. It is only the fourth cranial nerve beta, which is now coming from behind, and it is coming onto the anterior part, guys. It is coming onto the anterior part. So this is the fourth cranial nerve. Okay, so we have the fourth cranial nerve which is also passing through this no anterior part of this crus cerebri, or also called as the cerebral peduncles. Okay, so that is why we have the fourth cranial nerve. Can anyone tell me what is the name of the fourth cranial nerve, guys? The fourth cranial nerve. Can anyone tell me what is the name of this fourth cranial nerve? Yes. I am waiting for your answers, guys. What is the name of this fourth cranial nerve? या चलो बताओ कौन सी है? ट्रोक्लियर है, ट्राइजेमाइनल है, फेशियल है, क्या नाम है इसका? चलो इतना तो मैं एज्यूम करता हूँ कि तुम लोग को आता होगा. So पहले हमने anterior surface देख लिया, guys. We have seen the anterior surface, how it looks like. We have these crus cerebri which forms the anterior surface of this no. Now guys, before moving on to the posterior surface, guys, yes, before moving on to the posterior surface, let us first discuss about this interpeduncular fossa, guys. That is again a part like over here that we have to discuss, that is between the two cerebral peduncles, and again we will be drawing the same diagram just to see, guys, how it looks like. Yes, it is the trochlear one. Very good, lovely hoverboard. Shakil, very good. It is the trochlear one. It is the trochlear one. Very good, guys. Now, before coming on to the posterior surface, I will be discussing the interpeduncular fossa. My focus of discussion would be this fossa right now, and this is something very important, right? Now, yeah, Alekhya, very good. It is the trochlear nerve. It is the trochlear nerve. Suman Purai, very good. It is the trochlear nerve. Now, coming on to the next one, guys, that is the interpeduncular fossa. Again, a very important topic. Please, in one slide, I will be discussing all the topics. So please try to mention all the notes. I mean, all the points over here, right? Interpeduncular fossa. interpeduncular fossa, or yeah, I can just write it little bit down because I think it's not visible. So I will be writing over here. Yes, the interpeduncular fossa. Now this fossa, you already know this fossa, it is between the two cerebral, these peduncles or the two crus cerebri. So let us just try to draw it and see, guys. Okay, let me just try to draw this side so that yes, we can write also with relation to this particular, yes. So this is, let us suppose this is the pons, right? And from the upper border of the pons, guys, you already know we have these crus cerebri or the cerebral peduncles which are going backwards, right? So yes. Now the fourth cranial nerve, guys, please mention it in your notes as well. It is the only cranial nerve having dorsal origin. Only cranial nerve having dorsal origin. Please, very important. Having dorsal origin. Having dorsal origin. Right? So it's the only cranial nerve which is having the dorsal origin. So let us just now try to focus on these the interpeduncular fossa. And guys, you already know we have this, yes. So in the front it is having this, yeah, the optic chiasma, right? Yes. Anterolaterally, guys, you already know basically it is going behind. So पौन से पीछे की तरफ जा रहा है. So obviously we will have these optical tracts, right? And yes, we will have these optical tracts over here, right? We will have these optical tract, right? The both optical tract. In between the crossing over, yes, it is called as the optical chiasma, right? Optical chiasma. And from here, like, yes, the two optic nerves which are coming from the two eyeball, right? So you already know we have the optic nerve, the right and the left optic nerve, the right and the left optic nerve, right? So that is something you guys already know. So these are the cerebral peduncles, right? So this is nothing but the cerebral peduncle. Cerebral peduncle. Now, let us just try to see what is the shape, guys. It is like more of a rhomboidal shaped space. Okay, it is more of a rhomboid shaped space, right? This space I'm talking about. Yes, it is more like a rhomboid shaped space. Though in my diagram it not look like that, but just try to make it more rhomboidal in shape, right? So our focus will be on this yellow part in this particular diagram. So that is, yeah. Now, what is the shape, guys, of this interpeduncular fossa? Remember the shape, it is rhomboidal shaped space. Okay, it is rhomboidal, which is having like four sides, rhomboidal shaped space. Now, what is the site, guys? What is the site? You should remember, yes, it is in the central region. Okay, what is the site where it is present? It is in the central region of the base of the brain. It is in the central region of the base of the brain. Now guys, just try to see these cerebral peduncles. अभी तो बिल्कुल सामने से दिख रहा है, but these are going behind, guys. These are going behind, and you guys already know कि anteriorly उनके आगे क्या present होगा बेटा? This optic chiasma. अगर मैं interpeduncular fossa के आगे पूछूं क्या present है? We have this optic chiasma. Anterolaterally क्या present है, guys? Obviously इस cerebral peduncle के आगे की तरफ तो देखो बिल्कुल आगे तो क्या प्रेजेंट है? ऑप्टिकल काइस्मा, जहां पे क्रॉसिंग ओवर हो रही है। और इसी सेरिब्रल पेडंकल के आगे और लेटरल साइड पे क्या प्रेजेंट होगा? ऑप्टिकल ट्रैक। बीच वाला तो मिड लाइन हो गया, और बिल्कुल साइड में देखो तो ऑप्टिकल ट्रैक लेटरली प्रेजेंट है और इस सेरिब्रल पेडंकल के आगे प्रेजेंट है, ठीक है। सो अगर मैं बाउंड्रीज की बात करूं बेटा, बाउंड्रीज की बात करूं, तो यू शुड रिमेंबर कि anteriorly we have the optic chiasma, right? We have the optic chiasma, or anterolaterally guys, remember we have the optic tract. We have the optic tract, right? Anterolaterally we have the optic tract. Now guys, posterolaterally okay, now देखो सेरिब्रल पेडंकल, अब हम इसकी बात करें ना, दैट इज द इंटरपेडेंकुलर फोसा, interpedunclar fossa. So guys remember this fossa आगे की तरफ ऑप्टिक काइस्मा है, एंटीरोलेटरली आप लोग को नो ऑप्टिक ट्रैक देखने को मिलता है, ठीक है। पीछे की तरफ आपको ये सेरिब्रल पेडंकल्स दिखेंगे जिनकी ये बाउंड्री बन रही है, ठीक है। सो यू हैव टू एज्यूम गाइस कि इस फोसा के आगे ऑप्टिक काइस्मा है और आगे और लेटरल साइड पर ऑप्टिकल ट्रैक है, बट पीछे की तरफ पोस्टीरियर साइड पर और लेटरल साइड पर आपको देखने को मिलेगा दैट इज द सेरिब्रल पेडंकल्स, राइट। Posterolaterally we have these cerebral peduncles, and guys remember that बिल्कुल पोस्टीरियरली, बिल्कुल पीछे की तरफ क्या प्रेजेंट होगा, दिस पॉन्स का अपर बॉर्डर पीछे की तरफ होगा। So बिल्कुल पोस्टीरियरली we have this upper border of the pons, upper border of pons. So that is something you have to like imagine guys, आगे की तरफ ऑप्टिकल काइस्मा है और उसकी जो ट्रैक्स हैं वो उसकी बाउंड्री बनाते हैं एंटीरियरली, और पीछे की तरफ ये जो सेरिब्रल पेडंकल है along with this pons will like form the posterior and the posterolateral boundary, right? Now guys, this is like something not very much important, but the thing which I will be mentioning right now, it is like 100 million times important, and that is the contents of this particular part. What are the contents of this fossa? What are the contents of this fossa? So that is something very, very important. Now guys, the very first important part that you have to see over here, we have a okay, an elevated part in the anterior part of the fossa. बिल्कुल आगे की तरफ इसी फोसा में एंटीरियरली एक पार्ट प्रेजेंट होता है जस्ट बिहाइंड द ऑप्टिक काइस्मा। अब मैं ये नीचे बना रहा हूं थोड़ा सा, बट यू जस्ट हैव टू सी कि ये कौन सा पार्ट है। सो यू जस्ट हैव टू रिमेंबर बेटा, इसको हम लोग बोलते हैं, या दिस इज कॉल्ड एज, यस इट इज कॉल्ड एज ट्यूबर साइनेरियम, इट इज कॉल्ड एज ट्यूबर साइनेरियम। सो द फर्स्ट पार्ट विच यू विल इनकाउंटर द कंटेंट बिल्कुल ऑप्टिक काइस्मा के पीछे बनता है, और ऑब्वियसली मैं दिखा नहीं सकता ऑप्टिक काइस्मा के पीछे, so I'm just drawing a little bit down just to make कि ऑप्टिक काइस्मा आगे की तरफ प्रेजेंट है। सो इसको हम लोग बोलते हैं ट्यूबर साइनेरियम, ट्यूबर साइनेरियम। इट इज एन एलिवेटेड पार्ट इन द एंटीरियर पार्ट ऑफ द फोसा, राइट, इट इज जस्ट बिहाइंड द ऑप्टिक काइस्मा, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज ट्यूबर साइनेरियम। और इसी ट्यूबर साइनेरियम से एक स्टॉक कनेक्ट होती है, ठीक है, एक स्टॉक कनेक्ट होती है, और इस स्टॉक को हम लोग बोलते हैं इनफंडिब्युलम। इसको बोलते हैं, ये जो स्टॉक है, ओके, अ स्टॉक कनेक्टिंग द ट्यूबर साइनेरियम टू द पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड, टू द पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड। Okay, lovely, however, but I will put all the PDFs in my Telegram group, no need to worry. इसी ट्यूबर साइनेरियम को एक स्टॉक जो है, जिसको हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं, इनफंडिब्युलम, इनफंडिब्युलम, that connects the tuber cynarium to the pituitary gland, pituitary gland. So जो second content आपको देखने को मिलता है, that is infundibulum, infundibulum, right? So infundibulum क्या है, एक स्टॉक है, ठीक है, एक ट्यूब जैसा है जो कनेक्ट करता है ट्यूबर साइनेरियम को किससे, पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड से, right? Now apart from that, on the lateral sides guys, we will have two elevations, we will have two elevations on the lateral side guys, and these two elevations are called as mammillary bodies. These two elevations are called as mammillary bodies, right? These are called as the mammillary bodies. Mammillary bodies. So we have, yes, the third one, that is mammillary bodies. And mammillary bodies, beta, remember these are two in number. These mammillary bodies are two in number. Okay, these are two small rounded elevations. Two small rounded elevations. Now, guys, what is these mammillary bodies? Now they lie on each side of the midline. Now let us suppose that, guys, this is the midline, and they are lying on each side of the midline, guys. No, they receive this afferent fibers. अब ये mammillary body का काम क्या होता है आपको पता हो ना, afferent मतलब आने वाली, तो ये कुछ fibers receive करती है किससे, pons this fornix से, right? Fornix से receive करती है, और receive करने के बाद ये fibers किसको भेजती है, thalamus को. ठीक है. So remember, guys, one just important part I will be discussing in thalamus also, but over here just try to mention over here that it receives the efferent fibers, okay, via columns of fornix, okay, and remember it sends efferent आने वाली और फिर जाने वाली क्या है, efferent. तो ये efferent fibers भेजती है यहाँ से, it sends the efferent fibers, right, it sends the efferent fibers to thalamus, guys, and you already know it is called as mammillothalamic tract, and guys, remember mammillothalamic tract, and also to the tegmentum of midbrain. Tegmentum part of midbrain, I will be discussing what is tegmentum of midbrain today, right? So that is called as tegmental tract, right? So they form now, guys, if you will ask me, the tuber, cynorium, infundibulum, mammillary bodies, they are not the part of the midbrain, guys. They are part of hypothalamus. They all are parts of hypothalamus. Right? Hypothalamus. Now, guys, one more important structure that I wanted to talk over here, that is very important. And yes, just in the midline over here, you will see some perforations. Yes, you will see some perforations. कुछ छेद दिखाई देगा, and that is something called as the fourth one, guys, posterior perforating substance. Posterior perforating substance. अब ये होता क्या है posterior perforating substance? Now, guys, you already know we have the gray matter area. Okay, now over here, what is this, guys? It is the gray matter area. Right? Basically, it is perforated. Okay, it is perforated. इसमें छेद हो जाते हैं by branches of posterior cerebral artery. Very important. Via the branches of posterior cerebral artery, okay, which supply thalamus. तो आपको पता ही है posterior cerebral artery, it is actually supplying the thalamus. Now, guys, ये जो छेद है, basically after this posterior cerebral artery will come to these perforations and to supply this all the parts of this interpeduncular fossa and this all parts of the midbrain. So these are actually this gray matter which are perforated by these arteries, by the branches of this posterior cerebral artery, so that these arteries can enter and supply that particular part. So that is called as the posterior perforating substance. So it is like located more posteriorly, guys. Okay. Now, guys, one more thing that you already know, from the medial margin of this, guys, the cerebral peduncle, we have a nerve over here, and that is called as the third, the oculomotor nerve. That is the third cranial nerve, which we have already discussed, and it also lies in the interpeduncular fossa. Although it is coming from this medial margin, guys, but over here it is in the interpeduncular fossa also. So we can have one more content over here, that is the oculomotor nerve, okay, which is also emerging from the posterior part of this fossa. So that is about the interpeduncular fossa, guys. So I hope this is clear, guys. What is this posterior perforating substance? It is actually nothing but the gray matter which is now perforated at various locations. छेद हो जाएंगे जिसमें से आर्टरीज आती है. वो आर्टरीज एक्चुअली क्या है? ब्रांचेस है किस आर्टरी की? पोस्टीरियर सेरिब्रल आर्टरी की, जो थैलेमस को सप्लाई करती है. ठीक है. So I hope this is clear, guys. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat box if this interpeduncular fossa is clear. चलो फटाफट से एक थम्स अप दे दो गाइस if this is clear to everyone. Now guys, अगर posterior perforating substance है तो anterior perforating substance भी होगा. ओके अगर posterior perforating substance है तो anterior perforating substance भी present होगा. तो guys, yes, Alekhya, very good. Shakil, very good guys. Now you should know guys that there is something called as, yeah, I will be like drawing it very shortly guys over here. I don't know whether you will be able to see it or not. Yes, we have something called as the olfactory bulb, right? Yes, we have this olfactory bulb and we have the olfactory tract. Olfactory bulb and we have this olfactory tract. Olfactory tract. Okay, guys, I will be trying to speak in English. Okay, I will be speaking in English. I'm like speaking the same things. Okay. हमें अच्छा इंग्लिश समझ में नहीं आता. ओके मैं तो हिंदी में भी बता रहा हूँ ना बेटा. Olfactory tract. Now this olfactory tract basically divides into, right? Okay, they divide into the now the two stria, guys. Okay, we have the lateral olfactory stria, okay, which is lateral, and we have the medial olfactory stria. We have the medial olfactory stria. तो ये वाली क्या हो जाएगी? Lateral olfactory stria. Two projections, guys, which you can see, and one which is medially, guys. Yes, ये वाली जो है, that will be the medial olfactory stria. Olfactory stria. Now over here guys, you will be having, like, which is located more anteriorly, guys, it is the anterior perforating substance, right? It is the anterior perforating substance. So this is the anterior. So it is not a part of this interpeduncular fossa. Yes, this anterior perforating substance, it is not a part of this interpeduncular fossa. Just to tell you guys, so this anterior perforating substance, again guys, it is in this area. Basically it is in the base of each cerebral hemisphere. Okay, now guys, it is located more anteriorly than this posterior perforating substance. So this anterior perforating substance, it is like perforated by the branches of anterior and middle cerebral arteries. Okay, so remember guys, this is again a very important viva question over here that I'm discussing. So this anterior perforating substance, it is like perforated by the branches of the anterior and the middle cerebral arteries, right? So so what is the location, guys? You can see this trigone, guys. A triangle shaped structure is formed, right? So it is located behind this olfactory trigone and the diverging medial and the lateral olfactory stria. So that is actually the site, guys, which you can see over here, right? So that is regarding the yeah, that is regarding this the anterior surface, guys. So I hope this is clear, guys. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat box if it is clear to everyone. Just give me a thumbs up, right? So in this case, you just have to remember again, the contents are most important: the tuber cinereum, infundibulum, mammillary bodies, and the posterior perforating substance. Apart from that, the extra thing that you have to remember, which is not a part of this fossa, that is the anterior perforating substance, right? Okay, and the boundaries are like pretty much clear, guys. So that is something about the interpeduncular fossa. right? So we have covered this interpeduncular fossa today, right? So yes, so we were discussing about this midbrain. We have started discussing about this midbrain. We have discussed the site, we have discussed the extent. Now we have discussed in the external features, we have discussed the anterior surface. Now guys, we will be discussing the posterior surface, guys. We will be focusing on the posterior surface of this midbrain. So we are going to discuss in the external features. Yes, Alekhya, very good, beta. What about rest, guys? Are you all alive? So yes, in the external features, we will be discussing about now the posterior surface. Posterior surface, right? Anterior देख लिया, बीच में जो fossa था interpedunclar fossa वो भी देख लिया. Now we will try to see the posterior surface, guys, right? अब पीछे से देख रहे हैं, आगे से तो देख लिया हमने midbrain को, अब पीछे से देखेंगे, ठीक है? तो आगे से तो देख लिया, अब मैं गली की तरफ कर रहा हूँ, it's like the part of the brain. So anteriorly देख लिया है, now we'll try to see it from posterior side, okay? चल, Abukar, very good, Peter. Now, there are four rounded elevations, guys. Let us just try to draw it, guys, so you can understand more clearly, guys. So yes, we have these four rounded elevations, guys, which you can see. These four rounded elevations. Yes, these are masses of gray matter only. These are gray matter only, and this is something called as the two superior colliculus and the two inferior colliculus. So SC stands for, yes, the superior colliculus, and IC stands for inferior colliculus. Inferior colliculus. Now superior colliculus basically, guys, if I just want to tell you, see, these are four rounded elevations, guys, right, which are masses of the gray matter. And one more thing that I wanted to like teach you over here, that the superior colliculus, it is like obviously the center for the visual reflex. Okay, it is always the center of visual reflex. And inferior colliculus, it is center of auditory reflex. Center of auditory reflex. Now guys, in totality, this whole four colliculus, it is something called as, combinedly these are called as corpora quadrigemina. Okay, so in totality, in like combinedly, these are called as corpora quadrigemina, right? The superior colliculus and the inferior colliculus, and these are the ones which will form the posterior surface of the midbrain. Now let us just try to see what all structures else we can see over here. Now guys, just try to see over here that these superior colliculus and the inferior colliculus, basically they are like separated from each other by a sulcus, by a depression, guys, over here, a linear depression which you can see over here, and that is called as the cruciform sulcus. Okay, this is called as, yes, the cruciform, or let me just write it like this so that, yeah, I have to label many things over here. So remember, guys, this is called as, yes, the cruciform sulcus. The cruciform sulcus. Now, on the top, guys, on the top, in this cruciform sulcus, on the top, guys, okay, so there is a gland which is located. Can anyone tell me what is the name of the gland which is located on the top over here, right, in the ventral cruciform sulcus? In the superior position, guys, right over here, you will see a gland over here, guys, and that is nothing but the pineal gland. Okay, it is the pineal gland, guys, right? It is the pineal gland, right? It is the pineal gland, right? Now, below this cruciform sulcus, guys, on the lower part, on the inferior lower part, guys, you will be actually watching okay. Okay, there is something called as the frenum villi, guys. There is something called as, yes, frenum villi. On the lower part, yes. On the lower part, it is called as the frenum villi. Okay. Now this frenum villi, it is basically present. It is basically present on a membrane. Yes, yes, very good, Alekhya, very good. It is the pineal gland only. It is the pineal gland only. Yes. Now this frenum villi, it is basically present on a membrane over here, right? On a membrane over here. Okay, the membrane that stretches between the two cerebellar peduncles, right? Okay, we have these cerebellar peduncles over here, right? We have these cerebellar yeah, the cerebellar peduncles. These are called as the superior cerebellar peduncles. Cerebellar peduncles. And remember, guys, there is a membrane, no, that is stretching between these two cerebellar peduncles on both the side, and that is something called as the superior medullary venom. It is called as superior medullary venom, right? It is called as the superior medullary venom, and this frenum villi, it is basically present on the superior medullary venom. Okay, on the inferior part of this no cruciform sulcus, on the inferior part of this cruciform sulcus. Now, now there is a nerve, guys. There is a nerve. Okay, this is the posterior surface. I have told you from the posterior surface only one cranial nerve arises. Can anyone tell me the name of the cranial nerve now in the chat box? Anyone? Can anyone tell me the name of the cranial nerve which arises from the posterior aspect over here? Yes. Anyone? Yeah. Over here, guys, there will be a nerve which will be arising. Okay. And that nerve will be like passing on both the sides. It will be piercing the superior medullary venom. Yes, Abukar, very good, very good. It is the trochlear nerve. It is the fourth cranial nerve. Suman Parai, very good, Pita. It is the trochlear nerve, right? It will be like going on to both the sides. Yes. So we have this trochlear nerve, guys. Yes, this is the trochlear nerve. And you guys already know this trochlear nerve emerges from the posterior surface of the midbrain, right? Immediately below this inferior colliculus, बिल्कुल इसके नीचे, okay, piercing the superior medullary venom, okay, to curve forwards. ये बिल्कुल आगे की तरफ आती है, right? Around the sides of the midbrain, okay, they are not passing this superior cerebellar peduncles. Now, what are these superior cerebellar peduncles, guys? You already know that they emerge from the posterior surface of midbrain. Remember, guys, that they emerge from posterior surface of midbrain. Posterior surface of midbrain. पीछे की surface देख रहे हो, obviously वहीं से आ रही हैं ये. The superior cerebellar peduncles, right? Right, that they will run downward. नीचे की तरफ जा रहे हैं बेटा. You can very well see they run downwards, they run laterally, right? They run laterally along the sides of the upper part of the fourth ventricle, okay, to enter into the cerebral hemisphere. I have told you about the cerebral hemisphere, guys. We have the three peduncles, guys: the superior, the middle, and the inferior cerebellar peduncle. So yes, and this is the cerebellum. So basically these superior cerebellar peduncles, these are these peduncles, right? And these peduncles, they are running downwards laterally along the sides of the upper part of the fourth ventricle and to enter into the cerebellum, guys, to enter into the cerebellar hemisphere. So this is something which is connecting this midbrain, okay? अब इसके बाहर क्या है? Midbrain. Midbrain को cerebellum से connect करने के लिए we have a peduncle that is called as the superior cerebellar peduncle. That is the superior cerebellar peduncle. Now, Now guys, again, two important things that I again want to mention over here in this particular diagram, that yes, the superior colliculus, it is connected to, yes, remember it is connected to, yes, if I just want to mark this, to the lateral geniculate body, to the lateral geniculate body of thalamus. Okay, so these are the parts of the thalamus. So remember the superior colliculus, it is connected to the lateral geniculate body of the thalamus by a projection, and that projection or the connection, it is called as the superior brachium. It's just an arm-like projection, so that's why it is called as the superior brachium. And remember, the inferior colliculus, it is also like connected to, it is also connected to the medial geniculate body, the medial geniculate body of thalamus, medial geniculate body of thalamus by a arm-like projection, and that is something you guys already know, that is called as the inferior brachium. It is called as inferior brachium. Inferior brachium. So that is how the posterior surface looks like. That is how the posterior surface looks like, guys. So that is regarding the posterior surface that we have already discussed, guys. That we have already discussed. Now, we are now going to study. We have discussed the external surfaces, guys. So we have already discussed the external surface. Okay, so we have discussed the side, the extent. Okay, we have discussed the external features, the anterior surface along with the interpeduncular fossa, and we have discussed the posterior surface also, and we have discussed the posterior surface also over here. Now we are going to discuss the internal feature of the midbrain. Okay, now we are going to discuss the internal feature of midbrain, and that is again very important. So yes, let us put the heading over here. So just give me a thumbs up, guys. Till now everything is clear to you guys. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat box if everything is clear to you guys. Sure. Let us start with the internal features. Yes, internal features of the midbrain. Abukar, very good, very good. Shakil Ahmed, very good, beta. What about rest, guys? Are you all alive? So yes, internal features of the midbrain. Now we are going to see in the internal feature the cross section of the midbrain. The cross section of midbrain. Now I'm trying to cut the midbrain, and I will try to look how the midbrain looks like. First, we will try to Alekhya, very good. First, we will try to form the boundaries. I mean, just the basic morphology that we will be discussing over here. And later I will be like telling you in detail, guys. So how the, okay. Let me just try to show you how the cross section looks like. Right? If we cut the midbrain, okay, if we cut the midbrain from like anywhere, like what we will see over here, guys. Yes. So yes, we will have a central gray matter, guys. We will have a central gray matter. Okay. Now more posteriorly, guys, like anterior to posterior. Please, we have cut this, but I will be showing the structures from like anterior to posterior and how the structures will look like. Just try to see over here. So yes, we have a central gray matter, guys, over here. Yes. We have a central, try to make it more simple, guys. We have a central gray matter, and in the central gray matter, I have told you there is a duct present, and that is called as the cerebral aqueduct. And that is called as the cerebral aqueduct, right? cerebral aqueduct, and we have this, yes, the central gray matter, the central gray matter, right, in which we have this cerebral aqueduct which is connecting the third ventricle above to the fourth ventricle below, okay, which is connecting the third ventricle above to the fourth ventricle below. Now, entire midbrain, it is basically divided into three different zones, guys. Three different areas, three different zones. Now, the very first thing you already know, okay, we have a pigmented band-like structure, guys, in the most anterior part. Yes, we have a pigmented band-like structure in the most anterior part, and that is something called as substantia nigra. That is something called as substantia nigra. So this is called as substantia nigra. Substantia nigra. So basically this substantia nigra will divide the anterior most part of from here, guys. You will be watching over here. Yeah, we have this structure called as the crus cerebri. The crus cerebri just in the front of the substantia nigra, the anterior most part of the midbrain, we have the crus cerebri, and crus cerebri, it is also called as, yes, the cerebral peduncles. The cerebral peduncles, right? Right, so we will have this on like both the sides, right? Cerebral peduncles or the crus cerebri. So it is the most anterior part. Okay, now when I say crus cerebri or cerebral peduncles, now we have been discussing this over here also. Yes, we have these cerebral peduncles, guys, like we have already told you these cerebral peduncles. So these are like more anteriorly placed. That's why in the anterior surface, like we can see this cerebral peduncles. Now in the cross section also, yeah, we will be able to see these cerebral peduncles. Now, these cerebral peduncles are not the external features of the midbrain, okay, which will join posteriorly. मैंने बोला था ना आगे से पीछे की तरफ जा रहा है, which will join posteriorly. Now, these cerebral peduncles basically they consist of, yes, they consist of pyramidal. Okay, they consist of pyramidal and corticospinal fibers. Pyramidal and corticospinal fibers. We have already discussed the corticospinal tract earlier, right? So that is you have to remember over here. So it consists of the pyramidal and the corticospinal fibers, right? Now the entire midbrain, it is basically divided from anterior to posterior into two crus cerebri, which you can see. Yes, you can very well see that. Okay, you can very well see the two crus cerebri, right? That is one of the regions, right? The two crus cerebri on both the sides, right? Let me just write down, or the cerebral peduncles, which you can see, right? Now, posterior to this crus cerebri, entire cross section, okay, it will be known as, yes, tegmentum. It will be known as tegmentum. And remember, if I try to draw an imaginary line, that is, okay, let me use green pen. If I'm trying to draw an imaginary line that is passing from the middle of the cerebral aqueduct, okay, if I'm trying to draw an imaginary line that is passing through this middle of the cerebral aqueduct, guys, so this tegmentum, it is basically separated from the most posterior part, and that is called as the tectum, by this imaginary line, guys, which I have drawn from the cerebral aqueduct, right? Now tectum is nothing but, guys, tectum you already know, we have, yeah, tectum is nothing but, you already know, we are talking about the superior colliculus and the inferior colliculus, right? So the superior colliculus, it is the reflex center for vision, and the inferior colliculus, it is the reflex center for hearing or the auditory reflex, right? So that is, tectum is nothing but the superior colliculus and inferior colliculus only. We have tectum, tegmentum, and the crus cerebri. So I hope this is clear to everyone. So that is one of the cross like how we are going to approach the cross section of the midbrain right now. Now I will be taking the cross section at the inferior colliculus. Okay, I will be taking the cross section of the midbrain at the inferior colliculus, guys. Right? I will be taking the cross section of the midbrain at the inferior colliculus. Then I will be taking at the superior colliculus. So I will be like drawing two diagrams for the internal structure. One I will be taking from the inferior colliculus level and one from the above, that is the superior colliculus level, right? So let us just try to understand this the cross section of the midbrain at the inferior colliculus. Okay. So yes, let us just try to start. Yes. Let us just try to start the cross section of midbrain at inferior colliculi. The cross section of the midbrain at inferior colliculus. Now, okay, let us just try to draw the same diagram, guys, again. Okay, I hope you understood, guys. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat box if you just understood what we have discussed. Yes. Meanwhile, I'm just drawing this. Yeah, try to make it more big, guys, because like many of the things will be there, and then it will be like Chalo, Azan, very good. Azan, very good. Yeah, what about rest, guys? Yeah, Alekhya, chal. I'm taking the cross section at the level of this inferior colliculus. I'm taking the cross section at the level of the inferior colliculus. Now, you already know in the center, guys, actually it will be like at the level of the inferior colliculus. We have this, yeah, in the center. And let me just draw it more bigger so that all the nucleus can be like present over here. Yes, and this is called as the central gray matter. I'm like not writing it again and again, but yes, just try to like yeah, we have the central gray matter. We have the central gray matter. And in between, guys, you already know we have this, yes, cerebral aqueduct, which is connecting the third ventricle above to, yeah, just I'm writing it below, and later on I will be like erasing it to like, yeah, over here, just remember it is the cerebral aqueduct. Okay, cerebral aqueduct. Now, this is the cross section at the level of inferior colliculus. Inferior colliculus, superior colliculus, they are present behind on the posterior surface of the midbrain. And these are nothing but the round masses of no this gray matter only, right? These are round elevations. Now, yeah, coming from this anterior to posterior, guys. अब ये section को आगे से पीछे की तरफ देखना है. And in the front, guys, you already know we have something called as crus cerebri. We have something called as the crus cerebri, right? So the crus cerebri will contain both the ascending and the descending tracts, right? So now, firstly, you should know, guys, that we have something called as, yes, this substantia. Yeah, we have this substantia nigra, which is present like on both the sides. We have this substantia nigra. I told you it's a pigmented mass. Okay, that is, it is having a pigmented mass. I will be like this, like discussing about this substantia nigra. So yes, I'm just trying to mention it. substantia nigra. Right? It is also substantia nigra. I will be drawing only one side, guys. So please, the other side, it will be like same only. We have the substantia nigra. Now, guys, now I am talking about this particular region. That is called as the crus cerebri. The crus cerebri. Now, this crus cerebri, I'm dividing it into 6 parts, guys, right now. I'm dividing it into 6 parts. Yes, and how I am dividing it, guys, over here, just listen. Okay, let us suppose that this is the midline of the body, right? That this is the midline of the body. So the part which is closer to the midline will be the medial part, okay? Will be the medial part, and the part which is away from the midline will be the lateral part, will be the lateral part. So we have the medial part and we have the lateral part. We have the medial part and we have the lateral part. So you already know this is what? This is the crus cerebri. Crus cerebri, or it is also called as, yes, the crus cerebri, it is also called as cerebral peduncle, right? It is also called as, yes, it is also called as the cerebral peduncle, the crus cerebri or the cerebral peduncle, guys, the cerebral peduncle, the cerebral peduncle. Now, I am dividing into okay, the one which is closer to the midline, guys, the one which is closer to the midline will be, I'm taking this area as medial 1/6, right? This area as lateral 1/6. Okay, both the sides it will be like lateral 1/6, and in between the middle area will be called as middle. Yes, middle. Like how many parts are now out of 6? 2 parts are gone. 4/6 will be there. So I can simply say it is middle 2/3 part, right? अगर इसको काटोगे तो ये बीच वाला 2/3 हिस्सा ही हो गया. ठीक है, नॉर्मल मैथ्स का, इस नॉर्मल मैथ्स थोड़ी सी मैथ्स पढ़ा रहा हूँ इसमें, क्योंकि इसी तरीके से एरियाज को डिवाइड किया गया. मीडियल 1/6, मिडल 4/6, क्योंकि लाइक 2/3 एरिया हो गया, और लेटरल बिल्कुल 1/6 एरिया ले लिया हम लोगों ने. ठीक है. Now what is happening, guys, in the middle, the medial 1/6. Now this medial 1/6, basically it contains, remember guys, it contains fibers, okay, or it contains the fibers which are called as, yes, these are called as, yes, the frontopontine fibers. It contains fibers which are called as the frontopontine fibers. Frontopontine fibers. Now, these fibers are coming from which lobe, guys? Fronto का मतलब frontal lobe हो गया, and they are coming to the cerebral cortex, to this pontine nuclei. Okay, so that is something which you have to remember. The corticofrontal cerebellar tracts, the okay, the corticopontocerebellar tracts, right? So that is something you have to remember. Even over here it will be the same thing. In the medial 1/6 we have this, yes, the frontopontine fibers, right? So they are coming from the frontal lobe to the cerebral cortex, right? So they will come via this midbrain, right? Now, now lateral, okay. Now guys, we have something called as, in the medial 1/6, we have like 2 tracts over here, okay? So we have, yes, the corticonuclear tract. Okay, we have the corticonuclear tract. Corticonuclear tract. Right? We have the corticonuclear tract. और corticonuclear tract को एक और tract बोलते हैं. It is also called as the corticobulbar tract. In the middle 1/6, we have the corticonuclear or the corticobulbar tract. Okay, it will be located over here. Corticonuclear or the corticobulbar tract. Now, just on the side, we will have another tract over here, and that is called as the corticospinal tract. Corticospinal tract. Now, okay, this is corticospinal tract. Now, guys, when I say corticospinal tract, guys, now corticospinal tract, it is related to the various cranial nerves, nucleus, this the corticonuclear tract actually, okay, the corticospinal tracts, okay. So that is something which we have discussed earlier in this what we say in the spinal cord, okay. And guys, now coming on to the lateral 1/6, guys, lateral 1/6 will have like three fibers, the three fibers coming from the other lobes of the coming from the other lobes, guys, and that is you already know we have okay, we have temporopontine fibers, okay, temporopontine, we have, yes, you already know we have parietal lobe from parieto-pontine fibers, right? And we have occipito-pontine fibers, occipito-pontine fibers. So we have like three fibers coming from the remaining three lobes, the three fibers coming from the remaining three lobes, and that is on the lateral 1/6. You already know we have this occipito-pontine fibers, occipito-pontine fibers, right? We have this, yes, okay, not let us just write it in correct order. So the very first one, yes, it will be the temporopontine fibers. Then we have this parieto-pontine fibers coming from the parietal lobe, parieto-pontine fibers. And the last one, guys, that is the occipito-pontine fibers, occipito-pontine fibers, right? Occipito-pontine fibers. So these are the temporopontine fibers है तीनों ना, fibers लिख लेना, right? Fibers F. So that is about the crus cerebri. That is the most anterior part at the cross section of the midbrain, right? So I hope this is clear, guys. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat box if it is clear, guys. चलो ये क्लियर हो गया तो फटाफट से बता दो. Yes, Asan, very good, beta. Now, what is this substantia nigra, guys? What is this substantia nigra? You guys already know it is the pigmented mass or it's a collection of cells, guys, right? It's a collection of cells. अगर आगे से पीछे जा रहा है, शकील, very good. अगर आगे से पीछे की तरफ जा रहे हैं, guys, right? You already know. Let us. If I just want to show this substantia nigra over here. So this part, beta, which I'm like trying to draw over here. This part, it is basically the dorsal part, the posterior part. आगे से पीछे ये तो dorsal part हो गया substantia nigra का. सुमन पुराई, very good beta. So this is the dorsal part, beta. So I can simply say it as the dorsal concave border we have. Dorsal मतलब पीछे वाला part हो गया. Dorsal concave border we have of the substantia nigra, and anteriorly we have like these projections. These processes are there, right? So yes, we have a ventral convex part. Okay, we have a ventral convex processes are there. Ventral convex processes are there. Now the dorsal concave part, it is also called as pars compacta. Okay, please be very clear with this. It is called as pars compacta. And ventral convex, these processes wala part, it is called as pars reticularis. It is called as pars reticularis. Now pars compacta basically contains like huge number of melanin pigments. Okay, it contains very small amount of neurons, guys, but it contains like more amount of this melanin pigment. And pars reticularis basically contains these iron pigments. So remember, the pars compacta will have these melanin pigments, right? Melanin pigments are there. Okay, and these pars reticularis will be having these iron pigments. And remember that the pars reticularis basically contains large multipolar neurons, whereas only a small amount of neurons can be seen in the pars compacta wala part, right? So that is something that you have to remember about the crus cerebri, the substantia nigra. Okay, how the crus cerebri is divided, right? Now, guys, coming on to the nucleus wala part now. Coming on to the nucleus wala part, that is again very very important and very very like required as of now. Now you already know that there is a nucleus, guys, which is located more ventral, I'm removing the central gray matter and cerebral aqueduct because, guys, you already know, and we have to like now fill all these. Yes, fill all the nucleus over here. So please just try to be with me, guys, so that we can draw all the nucleus within this, right? Okay, or I shall draw it like more big. No, it's okay. Or I can draw I like a little bit big over here, right? Hmm. Now, you already know we have the central gray matter and the opening which you can see over here. It is called as the cerebral aqueduct. It is called as the cerebral aqueduct, which connects the third ventricle and the fourth ventricle together. Now, over here, guys, just try to remember that there is a nucleus which is now present ventrally. Ventral का मतलब anterior हो गया, जो आगे की तरफ present है, इस cerebral aqueduct के आगे on just on the lateral sides, guys, in the central gray matter. And from here the nerve will pass, obviously, and that nerve, it is called as the trochlear nerve, okay, which is passing from the central gray matter. Okay, so I'm trying to not tell you about the posterior surface, and only nerve which has a posterior origin, it is the trochlear nerve only. So obviously, guys, we will have this. Yes, if I just want to draw this, we have this trochlear nerve nucleus. Please mention it, guys. This is nothing but, yes, the trochlear nerve nuclei. Trochlear nerve nuclei. And guys, from here the nerve will pass, that is called as the trochlear nerve. Okay, it will pass from the, yeah, it will pass from the central gray matter. Okay, from here the nerve will be coming and it will be passing from the central gray matter, and it will be no, coming from the either sides, guys. It will be coming from either sides, guys. It will be coming from either sides, both the sides, and they will like decussate. They will crisscross, guys. They will crisscross, right? And they crisscross at a point over here. And this point we have already discussed right now, guys. This point we have already discussed over here, guys. That is called as frenulum villi. Okay, frenulum villi, or it is a part at the superior medullary velum. अभी बताया था मैंने. This part, it is called as the frenulum villi, and this whole area, guys, over here, right? This whole area, which you can just see over here, it is the superior medullary velum. We have this frenulum villi and we have this superior medullary velum. I already told you this is a membrane like structure, right? It is a superior medullary velum in which this crisscrossing is happening, in which the fibers are getting crossed, guys. If you can just see over here, guys. Yes, I have just told you, right? We have the frenulum villi over here, right? The frenulum villi, right? In the superior medullary velum, right? These fibers are like coming, these are originating and they are crisscrossing. Can you see we have taken the level at we are seeing the transverse section at the inferior colliculus. Obviously, this nerve, the yellow colored nerve over here, it is the trochlear nerve. So we can see this, yes, yellow colored nerve over here, and that is the trochlear nerve, right? Now, this trochlear nerve will be decussating, will be interchanging its path at, yes, you already know, at the superior medullary velum, right? And will be running to the opposite sides, guys, right? And it will run more posteriorly, and then it will come like laterally. Okay, it will come laterally. Okay, it will come laterally, obviously, to the sides of these the cerebral peduncles, guys, and then it will be coming like anteriorly, guys. It will be coming anteriorly, right? So it is how these no fibers are running. Okay, it is going more posteriorly, then it is coming laterally and coming in front. It is coming in front, right? Now only cranial nerve which actually takes, so this is nothing but, guys, you have to mention it over here. Yes, this is the trochlear nerve, guys. So this is, okay, so this is nothing but the trochlear nerve. And this trochlear nerve, guys, you already know, only cranial nerve having posterior origin. You can see only cranial nerve having dorsal origin. Dorsal or posterior, दोनों का मतलब एक ही, posterior means dorsal, right? Now, then laterally, guys, we have another nucleus, guys. Okay, we have another nucleus which you can see laterally, and these nucleus are actually called as mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, right? So yes, it is present on the lateral side. Let me just try to show you. Yes, over here. Now this is nothing but, yes, this is the mesencephalic nucleus. Mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal nerve, right? Trigeminal nerve. Basically, this nucleus, guys, the mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, basically it is present on the lateral side of the central gray matter, and it contains unipolar sensory neuron. Okay, if you just want to mention it, guys, you can just mention this mesencephalic nucleus basically contains unipolar sensory neuron. Please write completely. It is unipolar sensory neurons, guys. It is unipolar sensory neurons, right? Now, now it actually receives various sensations which are coming from the head and neck. All the proprioceptive sensations which supply the muscles of the eyeball, the extraocular muscles of the eyeball, and we have a nucleus now which is present in between, and that is called as nucleus of Dark-Schwitt. Okay, in between the trochlear and this mesencephalic nucleus, we have one more nucleus, guys, which is present, and that nucleus, it is called as nucleus of Dark-Schwitt. Please try to like mark this. Okay, present on both the sides. Yes, please just try to like mark it and just write down the spelling over here. Yes, this nucleus, guys, it is called as nucleus of Dark-Schwitt. Dark-Schwitt. So, so it, okay, now just one point that you have to remember about this nucleus, that it relates fibers in the posterior or the postural commissure, guys. Posterior commissure, guys. So just this point that you have to remember. Behind or dorsum to this no this trochlear nerve, guys, you will have another nucleus that you will find in the tegmentum part, and that nucleus, guys, just behind this trochlear nucleus, and this nucleus, it is called as the dorsal tegmental nucleus. Okay, this nucleus, this green colored nucleus, it is called as the dorsal tegmental nucleus. Dorsal tegmental nucleus. It is called as the dorsal tegmental nucleus, guys. Now, we have ventral tegmental nucleus also, that is not located in this gray matter, guys. The ventral tegmental nucleus, it is somewhat located outside the gray matter and towards the front in the tegmentum. Over here, guys, over here. So this is the ventral tegmental nucleus, which is not located in the gray matter. It is like situated in front of the gray matter, outside the gray matter actually, and in front, that is called the ventral. Anterior hota hai ventral tegmental nucleus. Ventral tegmental nucleus, guys, right? So that is present outside the gray matter and ventral to okay. अब ये जो वेंट्रल टेगमेंटल न्यूक्लियस है, ये बिल्कुल आगे प्रेजेंट होता है एक लेमनिस्कस के, and that is called as the medial lemniscus, guys, and that is called as the medial lemniscus. Medial longitudinal fasciculus, not medial lemniscus, it is medial longitudinal fasciculus. Medial longitudinal fasciculus. So that is something you have to remember. The medial longitudinal fasciculus guys over here, right? So yes, dorsal tegmental nucleus and ventral tegmental nucleus, basically they both of these guys, remember both of these, the dorsal tegmental and the ventral tegmental, they belong to the midbrain reticular system. They both belong to the midbrain reticular system guys. They both belong to the midbrain reticular system. Outside gray matter, no, outside the gray matter guys, we have no collection of a pair of nucleus, and that is called as the interstitial nucleus of Kajal, right? So on the sides guys, over here you will see another nucleus guys, right? And that is called as the interstitial nucleus of Kajal. Interstitial nucleus of Kajal. Interstitial nucleus of Kajal, which sends its fibers to no posterior commissure lying outside the gray matter. Now this interstitial nucleus of Kajal, they will also now contribute to this reticular formation. Okay, the midbrain reticular formation. Now, okay. So that is something you already know. Now guys, coming on to the ones, yeah. We have the dorsal longitudinal fasciculus guys now of Schutz. So this dorsal longitudinal fasciculus of Schutz, it is, yes, it is like present on the sides of these aqueduct of Sylvius. Okay, this is these are called as dorsal longitudinal fasciculus of Schutz. Dorsal longitudinal fasciculus of Schutz. Right, so these are called as the dorsal longitudinal fasciculus of Schutz, which is present in the gray matter guys, and like on the sides of the cerebral aqueduct, basically these dorsal longitudinal fasciculus of Schutz, basically they connect the nuclei of hypothalamus with the entire reticular system that we have discussed, right? The midbrain reticular system, which is present in the brainstem, the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata. Okay, that means it will connect these dorsal and tegmental, the dorsal tegmental nucleus, the ventral tegmental nucleus, and that is because they are parts of the midbrain reticular system. So this dorsal longitudinal fasciculus, it is basically connecting the nuclei of hypothalamus, connecting nuclei of hypothalamus, okay, to the reticular system in the brainstem, to the reticular um, okay, system in brainstem. रेटिकुलर सिस्टम किससे बन रहा है मिड ब्रेन में दैट इज डॉर्सल tegmental, ventral tegmental, even the interstitial nucleus of the Kajal will also participate in this, right? Now now guys, that is something that you have already, like we have already discussed. Now guys, up till now, is there any doubt guys? Just please let me know if there is any doubt. Please just let me know if there is any doubt guys. चलो फटाफट से थम्स अप दे दो चैट बॉक्स में if this is clear to each one of you. Now in the tegmentum guys, in the tegmentum, like we have more labeling guys. Yeah, in the tegmentum guys, let us just try to complete the cross section guys. In the tegmentum, from like medial to, from anterior to posterior, we have in the middle the decussation. Okay, I just wanted to draw it over here, but yeah, let us just try to finish it off. In the midline guys, we have this decussation, and that is called as the decussation of superior cerebellar peduncle. superior cerebellar peduncle, guys. We have the decussation of the superior cerebellar peduncle. Here, these fibers basically they are now coming from the right and the left cerebral nuclei, cerebellar nuclei. Okay, from fastigious nuclei, dentate nuclei. Okay, they are ascending. Some fibers are descending, to the ventral nucleus of the thalamus, right? It will also relate to the red nucleus. Red nucleus we have already discussed, even to this reticular system, guys. Okay, so like and also will relay in the inferior olivary nucleus in the brainstem. So now dorsal to this peduncle or decussation, guys, we have something called as the rubrospinal tract. Okay, so just try to mention all the tract, guys, right now over here. So yes, over here we will have the rubrospinal tract. I'm not writing completely, just please write down rubrospinal tract. Okay. Behind, guys, we have the tectospinal tract. Okay, in the tegmental region, we have the tectospinal tract. Okay, we have the tectospinal tract, right? We have the tectospinal tract, right? Then guys, we have the medial lemniscus. Okay, we have the medial lemniscus, right? We have the medial lemniscus. Okay. We have the medial lemniscus. We have the trigeminal lemniscus, right? We have medial lemniscus. We have the trigeminal lemniscus, right? And guys, right? Remember, like two more lemniscus over here. We have spinal and lateral lemniscus. Spinal lemniscus, then we have the lateral lemniscus. So these are like in order, guys. So yes, behind this reticular formation, we have the rubrospinal tract, the tectospinal tract, then we have medial lemniscus, then trigeminal lemniscus, spinal lemniscus, and lateral lemniscus. So like these are the order, these are the lemniscus that you will now find over here. Now there is ovoid group of nucleus. Since we have taken this at the inferior level, guys, so we have the inferior colliculus over here. We have the inferior colliculus over here, and these inferior colliculus are basically these ovoid group of nucleus, which know they are the collection of the ovoid group of nucleus. So these inferior colliculus, guys, the important points that you can remember over here as of now, they refer no, let me just tell to you, these inferior colliculus will receive the fibers. These are called as efferent fibers, right? And the fibers which will be giving off that is the efferent fibers. So basically they receive. Okay, let me just 1 minute. Yeah, just 1 minute. Now guys, you already know that this inferior colliculus will also connect to each other, right? So yeah, and this inferior colliculus will also connect to the superior colliculus. It is also having the superior colliculus above. Now inferior colliculus, they will connect to each other, like they will be like the fibers will be moving from right to left and from left to right. But when we talk about the superior colliculus, guys, when we talk about the superior colliculus, remember guys that the fibers, they will not like decussate. The inferior colliculus only on the ipsilateral side will be no like sending fibers to the superior colliculus, vice versa, right to right and left to left. There is no like kind of interchanging over here, right? There is no kind of interchanging over here. So yes. Now apart from that, guys, you have to remember like 2-3 more things over here. Now can anyone tell me the inferior colliculus, it is for which reflex? It's the center for which reflex, guys? Anyone in the chat box can tell me the inferior colliculus, it is the center for which reflex? Yes. I'm waiting, guys, for your answers. Please let me know their centers for which reflex, right? So these inferior colliculus, you already know they are the laminated gray matter in the lower part of the tectum of the midbrain, right? So it is for, yes, anyone? It is for auditory reflex, right? So it receives the efferent fibers, guys, from lateral lemniscus, right? It will Okay, I cannot write here. Yeah, it receives the efferent fibers from lateral lemniscus, guys, right? It also receives the efferent fibers from temporal cortex, right, via the brachium of the inferior colliculus. So that is you already know. Now it will give fibers to efferent fibers to the inferior colliculus of opposite side. Okay, it will give the efferent fibers to the, yes, Shakil, you are right. The inferior colliculus to the opposite side, right? It will also send the efferent fibers, guys. You already know we have something called as the medial geniculate body of the thalamus, right? So medial geniculate body of the same and opposite sides. So it is sending these fibers to medial geniculate body also, right? It will also send the fibers superiorly to the superior colliculus, ipsilateral superior colliculus, right? And guys, it will also send efferent fibers to the tectospinal and tectobulbar tracts of opposite side, right? So that is regarding this inferior colliculus, guys. So that is like regarding this inferior colliculus. So yeah, it is the cross section of the midbrain at the inferior colliculus, guys. Now now guys, coming on to the next one, that is the cross section of the midbrain at the level of superior colliculus. We have seen the inferior colliculus. Now we are going to see the cross section of the midbrain. So yes, we have taken the inferior colliculus. Now we are going to watch the level at the yes, the superior colliculus, not this. Yeah. So please write down this. So yes, we have the cross section of midbrain at level of superior colliculus. At level of superior colliculus. Right? Yes, Alekia, you're right. You're right. You're right. Like I missed out the comment, but yeah, it's right. Now, just one moment. Hmm. Sure. Let us again, the things will again remain the same, guys. So I will be not drawing everything again. So yes, over here, just try to see. Hmm. Yes, so at the level, you already know this part, it is the tectum, right? We have tegmentum in between, right? Tegmentum. Okay, and in the front we have the crus cerebri or cerebral peduncles that you already know, the crus cerebri or the cerebral peduncles, right? Which is no containing this substantia nigra, and that is we have already discussed. Again, at the level of the superior colliculus, this crus cerebri wala part will remain the same. So in the central canal, guys, you already know we have drawn the cerebral aqueduct, right? This is the central gray matter, and inside we have the cerebral aqueduct. Let me just try to, yeah, draw it more bigger. Yeah. Hmm. And yes, you already know about this. So let us just try to make it a little big, guys, because I have to show the decussation also. Hmm. So I'm just trying to increase the length of this tegmentum part, guys. Yeah. So yes, it is somewhat like this. Yes. So that is yeah, the tegmentum, and over here you already know we have this substantia nigra. Yes. And yes, this is the substantia nigra we have, and this is the crus cerebri or the cerebral peduncles, right? So that is something you already know, guys. Now the substantia nigra, which is no separating this crus cerebri from this tegmentum. So what is the function of this substantia nigra? You can see it is separating the crus cerebri from this tegmentum part, right? Posterior tegmentum part. We are going from like anterior to posterior. Now, at the level of this no superior colliculus, guys, at the level of the superior colliculus, we have something called as the oculomotor nerve nucleus, right? We have something called as the, yes, oculomotor nerve nucleus complex, right? Now, let us just try to draw it, guys, so that it becomes easy. So over here, we will have this oculomotor nerve nuclear complex. Now, what does this mean, guys? Now, at the level of the superior colliculus, we have this oculomotor nerve nuclear complex. It means that there are various subdivisions of this oculomotor nerve no complex over here. So we have various no the nucleus which are part of this, and you just have to mention the names over here, guys. Right? We have the inferolateral nucleus. Now, when I say inferolateral nucleus, guys, you should remember that it will supply the fibers to the inferior rectus muscle. Okay. Again, we have another one that is called as the ventromedial nucleus. Now, when I say ventromedial nucleus, it will supply fiber to the middle rectus muscle, right? So you already know these, no, the inferior rectus, the middle rectus, they are all the extraocular muscles, right? We also have the intermediate nucleus. So these are all parts of this nuclear complex. We have this intermediate nucleus. Okay, so this intermediate nucleus will supply the fibers to the, yeah, the inferior oblique muscle, we have something called as the caudate central nucleus, right, which will supply the fibers to no levator palpebrae superioris, right, muscle. Then we have one more that is called as the median raphe muscle. I mean the median raphe nucleus, which will supply the no fibers to the superior rectus muscle. So these basically they will contain some somatic efferent functional component, right? So basically they supply the extraocular muscles which are not developed from the somites, so that is something you have to remember. Exactly cranial to this oculomotor nerve nuclei, we we have like another nuclei called Evinger-Westphal nucleus, but it's no component of this oculomotor nerve nucleus only. But it will give no, you should remember, general visceral efferent sensation or functional components which no supply the parasympathetic motor fibers. Now, guys, what does this mean? There is some nucleus which is actually a part of this oculomotor nerve nuclear complex, that is a Wenger-Westphal nucleus, but this nucleus will be helping in the constriction of the pupil. Okay, so actually it supplies the sphincter of the pupil, guys, and also the ciliaris muscle. And you already know, if it is supplying the sphincter of the pupil, it will help in the constriction. And if it is supplying the ciliaris muscle, it will produce the accommodation. It will try to adjust the accommodation for the near vision. Okay, it will try to adjust the accommodation for the near vision, guys. Right? So yes, we have the red nucleus, guys. We have the red nucleus, which you can see over here. Right, in the tegmentum part, we have this red nucleus. Right, red nucleus. Right, from the red nucleus, we already know we have the central decussation, that is called as the rubrospinal tract, right? So this is called as the rubrospinal tract, right? And this is actually the, yes, you can see over here the ventral decussation, guys. Okay, the fibers are getting crossed, so I can simply call it as the ventral tegmental decussation. Ventral tegmental decussation, which is occurring at this point. Ventral tegmental decussation, which is occurring at this point, right? We also have okay, ventral tegmental decussation, which is occurring at this point. Now this red nucleus, guys, this red nucleus, it is the main component of the section. Now it is mainly located in which part, guys? It is located in the tegmentum. Now dorsal to the substantia nigra, dorsal, just behind the substantia nigra, you will find this red nucleus, guys. You will find this red nucleus. You will find this red nucleus in freshly cut sections, guys. It is pink in color because no abundance of iron pigment. If you just freshly cut this red nucleus, freshly cut sections, it is pink in color. So, guys, remember this red nucleus, it is extending from the level of superior colliculus till almost subthalamic nucleus. Now, red nucleus, it is important in identification of the midbrain at the superior colliculus, right? So it will have this ventral tegmental decussation. It will have this ventral tegmental decussation, right? Now there are many fibers which are now coming in the red nucleus. There are many fibers. These are called as the efferent fibers, and the one which are leaving from the red nucleus, these are the efferent fibers. So yes, we have the cerebello-rubral fibers, right? The efferent fibers which are coming over here, right? And the ones which are leaving it, it is the ventral tegmental decussation, which you can see the fibers which are leaving from the red nucleus. So that is something you have to remember, guys. Okay. Now, okay. So I hope this is clear now, guys. Just give me a thumbs up if you are aware live. Yes. Tired, everyone? So just yeah. Now, guys, obviously it is at the level of the superior colliculus. So we will have the superior colliculus over here, guys, and this will be like crossing over, and that is the tectospinal decussation which will take place. The tectospinal decussation, the tectospinal tract, tectospinal tract. Obviously, they are meeting it in the tegmentum, but they are actually arising from this tectum part only, the superior colliculus part. So this is called as the tectospinal tract, but it is the the decussation over here, which you can see, it is taking place in the tegmentum, right? It is taking place in the tegmentum, guys, right? So that is something you have to remember, okay? Now, guys, coming on to the next part, guys, over here, the superior colliculus. The superior colliculus, guys, you have to just remember 2-3 points about the superior colliculus. These are masses of these gray matter, right? So these are masses for these gray matter, and these are the center for visual reflexes, guys. These are center for these visual reflexes, right? You already know these are center for these visual reflexes, guys, right? Hmm. Now, guys, remember it receives, now the superior colliculus will receive efferent fibers and it will release some efferent fibers, right? Now, the superior colliculus receives these efferent impulses from retina. Okay, that's why the occipital cortex, right? Even the inferior colliculus, we have already told you we have the inferior colliculus, and also from the spinal cord, right? Via the spinotectal tract, right? Spinotectal tract, and it will give these efferent fibers, guys. You already know to the nuclei of cranial nerves are there, right? Nuclei of which cranial nerves, guys? You already know the third, fourth, and the sixth cranial nerve, the muscles of the neck, right? Okay, and also to the anterior horn cells of the spinal cord, right? Anterior horn cells of the spinal cord, right? And also they will be connecting to the superior colliculus of the opposite side, okay? Opposite side. So it will be giving efferent fibers to the superior colliculus of the opposite side also. So that is something about that you have to remember over here. Apart from that, guys, let us just discuss about the clinical anatomy wala part. Let us just try to finish the clinical anatomy. Okay, guys, the blood supply, it will be basically the blood supply, the arteries which are supplying the circle of Willis, they will be actually responsible for the blood supply of the midbrain. So when I will be discussing the circle of Willis, I will be talking about the segment over there also. Now, but in clinical anatomy, guys, just try to focus on certain syndromes that I'm talking about. Clinical anatomy. The first one that I will be discussing, it is the Weber's syndrome. Weber's syndrome. Now, In the Weber syndrome, what is guys happening, that it is the occlusion of which nerve, guys? It is occlusion of oculomotor nerve. Oculomotor nerve. Okay, occlusion of the oculomotor nerve, and even to this pyramidal tract, guys, the pyramidal tract, right? Obviously the tracks will remain the same, guys. I have not drawn it over here. The medial lemniscus, the spinal lemniscus, everything will be like same. Okay, the trigeminal, the spinal, the lateral lemniscus, everything will be like same over here as well, right? So remember, guys, what happens? What will be the symptoms, guys, if no the oculomotor nerve is occluded, right? So because of no, they are supplying to this levator palpebrae superioris. So what will happen if there is paralysis? Just in short, I want to discuss if this paralysis of levator palpebrae superioris, what will happen? There will be unilateral ptosis. That is drooping of the eyelids. That is the drooping of the eyelids, guys. There will be unilateral paralysis. Unilateral paralysis of all muscles of which are not supplied by this oculomotor. That is the third cranial nerve. Oculomotor. That is the third cranial nerve. Even I told you it will be supplying the sphincter pupil. Okay. Now what will happen over here? The pupil will remain dilated, guys. The pupil will remain dilated, right? So there will be loss of this sphincter, which is no helping in the constriction of the pupil. So remember, guys, the loss of sphincter pupil, and there will be loss of the ciliary function, guys. There will be loss of ciliary function, and remember, guys, the pupil will remain dilated. Pupil remains dilated and fixed. It remains dilated and fixed, right? Now, guys, you already know. Again, just remember one formula, LR6SO4. The lateral rectus, it is supplied by 6, and superior oblique, it is supplied by 4th cranial nerve. Now, when I say that these all are the muscles of the eyeball, right? But the abducent nerve, the trochlear nerve, they're completely normal. Only the like defect is within the oculomotor nerve. So remember, guys, there will be lateral rotation of the eyeball because the lateral nerve is very much okay. So eyeball will be shifted to the lateral side, guys. So there will be lateral rotation of this eyeball. Okay. There will be lateral rotation of this eyeball, right? Now, the eyeball will be fixed to the lateral side because the abducent nerve, the 6th cranial nerve, it is working very normally. Okay. So if there is oculomotor nerve lesion, whenever it is always the medial rectus which is paralyzed, okay, which is paralyzed, right? The inferior rectus which is paralyzed, right? So that is you have to remember. Okay. Now, again, guys, there is involvement of pyramidal tract in this region. So what will happen? There will be upper motor neuron paralysis on the opposite side of the body. Okay, because of the pyramidal tract, or contralateral part of the body will be affected, paralyzed, right? Now, there is something called as Benedict syndrome, guys. There is something called as Benedict syndrome. Benedict syndrome. Now, Benedict syndrome is nothing but the lesion of the red nucleus, the region of the red nucleus, plus the medial lemniscus. Obviously, they are very much closer to each other. Even if you can see in the picture, guys, yes, the red nucleus and the medial lemniscus, they both are gone. They both are gone. Now, what will happen, guys? They both are gone. They will involve lesions of even guys, the superior cerebellar peduncles also. We have discussed the superior cerebellar peduncle. It is connecting the midbrain to the cerebellum, right? Superior cerebellar peduncle. We have discussed the cerebral hemisphere, right? Superior cerebellar peduncle in middle and inferior. So there is involvement of superior cerebellar peduncle also, right? So mainly the medial lemniscus, no, it is involved in this case of Benedict syndrome mainly. Now, this medial lemniscus, guys, you already know it carries the conscious proprioception. It carries conscious proprioception, guys, right? From the contralateral part, like touch, pressure, vibratory sensations. So all this is like lost. Oculomotor nerve lesion, like obviously it will involve this red nucleus. So all the functions of the red nucleus lost. Even the oculomotor nerve lesion is also there. Oculomotor nerve lesion is also there. So that is also lost. Okay, that is also lost. Now there is one more syndrome, guys, that I just wanted to discuss, that is called as the Perinaut syndrome. That is Perinaut syndrome. Sometimes no, it is no involving the tectum region, guys. The tectum region, basically we have the superior colliculus and the inferior colliculus, right? So basically it is the superior colliculus like which is involved, and we have already told you in between the superior colliculus we have a gland called as the pineal gland. Okay, pineal gland is there. So this pineal gland is like maybe compressed, guys. So it is like just the syndrome of the upward case, we call it the syndrome of upward case. So that is regarding the clinical anatomy, guys. In very short, I've discussed about the clinical anatomy of this part, right? So that is all about the midbrain, guys, that we have discussed today. Yes, that is all about the midbrain, guys, that we have discussed today. We have discussed the interpeduncular fossa. We have discussed about the interpeduncular fossa, and guys, coming on to the fourth ventricle, you have already, like we have discussed in detail about the fourth ventricle. So yeah, just give me a thumbs up, guys, if you are present, if you are alive with me. Yeah, just let me know if you are present, you are alive with me. Yeah. Chalo, Asif, very good, very good. I hope you are writing the notes along with me. Yes. चलो फटाफट से दो चार लाइनें लाइक लिख लेते हैं उसके बारे में भी. वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस दिस फोर्थ वेंट्रिकल, क्योंकि पॉन्स भी पढ़ लिया, मेडुला भी पढ़ लिया, मिडब्रेन भी हो गया. तो फोर्थ वेंट्रिकल बहुत इजी हो जाता है गाइस. फोर्थ वेंट्रिकल बहुत इजी हो जाता है. एंड आई विल बी जस्ट लाइक discussing in detail, like short, guys. I think I have the diagram that I have drawn yesterday, guys. Yes. Hmm. Even the posterior surface of the pons, we are just trying to look at this no fourth ventricle also over here, the fourth ventricle also over here. Now this fourth ventricle, it is in the cavity of the hindbrain, guys. Okay, it is in between the pons and the medulla oblongata. It is between the pons and the medulla oblongata anteriorly, and posteriorly cap into the cerebellum. So we have removed the cerebellum from here. We have removed the cerebellum from here, right? So guys, it is like no, a tent shape when it is seen from the side, and it is like a diamond shape when you can see it is like this diamond shape, guys. I hope everyone can appreciate this is this diamond shape. Like if it is seen from behind, I've removed the cerebellum in this case. Now guys, this fourth ventricle has floor. Okay, it has floor, guys. It has roof. It has four lateral boundaries, right? Obviously, it is a rhomboid shape, so it has four lateral boundaries, and along with four angles, guys, four angles, one superior, one inferior, and two lateral angles. Two lateral angles. All the properties of these no rhomboid are there, right? So, guys, if we talk about the boundaries, guys, you already know the upper boundary is basically, guys, it is formed by the superior cerebellar peduncle. Please remember, guys, it is the superior cerebellar peduncle which forms the upper lateral boundary, right? And the lower lateral boundary, it is formed by the inferior cerebellar peduncle. And below, guys, you already know we have, yes, yes, we have this, yes, gracile tubercle, cunate tubercle also, right? So we have this gracile tubercle, the cunate tubercle, along with the inferior cerebellar peduncle. So we have this gracile tubercle and cunate tubercle. So this we have already discussed in the earlier cases also. So you can, yes, very well see over here also. Yeah, we have this gracile tubercle, the cunate tubercle, right? So along with the inferior cerebellar peduncle, we have the cunate and the gracile tubercle also, which is forming the, yeah, the lower boundary of this, yes, fourth ventricle, right? Now, the floor of the fourth ventricle, guys, you can see it is like a diamond shaped. It is like a diamond shaped, and you can see various structures, guys. So we have a upper pontine part. So this all part, it is the upper pontine part, and below part we have the lower medullary part, right? So in the upper pontine part, you can see the facial colliculus. Okay, you can see the medullary streak, guys, right? Apart from that, in the lower part, you can see this hypoglossal triangle is there, right? We have also discussed the triangles like below also, right? You already like are aware of the, yes, the vagal triangles, right? The hypoglossal triangle, the vagal triangle is there, the area prostema is there. We have already discussed this, right? So that is, again, if you want me, I can show you. Mm. So you can very well see over here in the lower part, guys, you can see the inferior fovea, that is the vagal triangle. We have Calmoreus scriptorius. I told you it's just like the nib of a pen over here, right? We have the area prostema, guys, the area prostema, which you can see, that is the vomiting center, that is the circumventricular organ, which is devoid of the brain, blood-brain barrier. So these are all in the lower part, which you can see of the fourth ventricle. In the upper part, we have already discussed, right? So that is like about the fourth ventricle, guys, and guys, even the, okay, if you just want, we can like one more thing that you can like remember over here, that is, yeah, what are the openings in the fourth ventricle? Can anyone tell me what are the openings in the fourth ventricle, guys? Hmm. If we talk about the openings in the fourth ventricle, what are the openings in the fourth ventricle? So you already know we have the foramen of Megendai. Foramen of Megendai. Basically, it is in the lower part, right? It is in the lower part of the inferior medullary velum. And we have something called as foramen of Lashka. Foramen of Lashka, right? So this is each in the lateral recess, right? So that is something. These are the lateral apertures. These are the foramens which are now present in the openings which are present in the fourth ventricle. So that we have to like discuss before also all these parts. So yeah, you just have to like go through it once. So today we have like discussed about this midbrain, the site, extent, the cerebral aqueduct. We have discussed the external features, the interior surface, guys. We have discussed the interpeduncular fossa. We have discussed the posterior surface in detail, right? We have discussed the internal features, the cross section, like from the crus cerebri, tegmentum, and tectum at the level of inferior colliculus and at the level of superior colliculus, along with the applied anatomy, that is the clinical anatomy, in which I have discussed about the Weber syndrome, Benedict syndrome, and the Perinaut syndrome. I will be like covering the blood supply along with the one I will be teaching when the circle of Willis, right? So these are the arteries which supply the circle of Willis, like they are the same one. So yeah. So that's all for the session today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the session. If you have like, if you want to connect to me, you can just connect to me via Instagram. That is Abhijeet Kumar 7859. That's my Instagram ID. And Telegram, you can just go to Docsmayan for the notes, right? Telegram, Docsmayan, right? So Instagram is the most frequent way I will be connecting to you people, right? So thank you for your patience for listening me out, guys. So yes.